But it was so interesting that simply someone's face could come onto the TV and my mother's perspective would narrow down, and and at that moment, that's how she knew herself too. I know myself because if her perspective didn't narrow down, who would she be? In relationship, because that's how the false self's always finding itself. How am I? What's my point of view in relationship to what's happening? And whatever that point of view is, it's a way that you've limited, narrowed down your perspective. Right? So it's amazing to see just a face on the TV could narrow down perspective temporarily. And it gives us a sense of self then. As I said, our false self is literally defined by that which will cause us to narrow our perception down. And this is what's called in India, this is the play of Maya. This is the play of illusion. Because this narrowing of perspective is just a completely subjective event. It has nothing to do with reality. Nothing whatsoever to do with it. And it's not just that our perspective narrows down, but as soon as your perspective narrows, you have a sense, you feel more and more separate, right? And of course, the more separate you feel, the more vulnerable you feel. So what would it be like to just relinquish whatever causes this narrowing of perception? To just see that it's not really true, it's not real, it's made up. And inside every single being, everybody in this room, there is that perspective which is eternal. It's that perspective from the stance of eternity. Eternity, by the way, doesn't mean something that lasts a long time. Eternity means no time, not long time. The only difference between someone who's awake and someone who is not is where's their perception coming from? Is it coming from their limited mind state, or is it coming from their true nature? True nature being that which is eternal, that which always ever is. And it's in everybody. You being that which always ever is. And as soon as you come into that state of always ever is, then whatever particular thing may be happening in the moment is seen from an entirely different perspective. The big dealness of whatever's happening disappears. You still may deal with whatever's happening, but you won't have, there's no more big dealness about everything. You realize it's not really a big deal. And so the human beings, any being that's actually realized this, there's the tendency of the mind to think they're different. That's the Jesus, that's Buddha, that's, whoever your mind has out there. But when you realize your true state, you realize you are the Buddha. It's the same eternity, whether it's in Buddha or Jesus or whoever, Mother Mary or whoever it is, it's the same eternity. There's only one eternity, eternal being. And just by sort of a paradox is, the more you're rooted in eternity, the more available you are for here and now. Because your perspective stays totally open to here and now. Eternity isn't a place you hide. That's a false eternity. That's a phony eternity. When you really come to the state of eternity, that which always is, then you're actually completely here and now. Your perspective isn't totally narrowed down. It's just vast. And you don't make it vast. It is vast. You can't make consciousness vast. Consciousness is vast. So it's actually very simple. Very, very simple.